As part of Google's ongoing commitment to a privacy-centric digital advertising ecosystem, we are strengthening the enforcement of our European Union user consent policy. In this video, we'll cover how to collect consent for your web and app campaigns running in the European Economic Area, or EEA, to preserve tag-based audience remarketing functionality. If you are running campaigns using tag-based audience remarketing in the EEA, it is crucial to complete specific milestones before March 2024. This video tutorial will only speak to tag-based audience remarketing on web and app, and will not reference offline audiences, such as customer match lists. The first step is to set up a consent banner that meets local regulatory requirements and our European Union user consent policy on your website or app. You can implement it using your own developer tools or using a consent management platform, or CMP. We recommend working with a Google-certified CMP partner who can help implement a compliant banner, consent mode, and tag settings to collect consent. We'll cover those shortly. Once you've collected a consent signal from a user, there are distinct steps required for the web and app to pass that information back to Google. Let's start with the web. For the web campaigns, the second step is to implement the upgraded consent mode. Version 2. Consent mode allows you to adjust Google Tags behavior based on the user's interaction with the consent banner on your website. There are several ways to implement consent mode, ranging in complexity. Again, we recommend using a Google partner CMP. You can watch our video titled Set up Consent Mode in Google Analytics for additional options. There is a third and critical step for advertisers not using a CMP, who will complete this step on your behalf. Advertisers will need to implement two new distinct parameters available in the upgraded consent mode, version 2, to preserve tag-based audience remarketing. These parameters are labeled add_personalization and add_user_data, and they collect consent to allow ads personalization. To execute in-house, your developer team must set the add personalization and add user parameters. The recommended steps are: first, set defaults for the two parameters. Next, create a function to set the consent parameters, and then connect the function to the banner button. For additional details, refer to our developer site. After March 2024, the default setting will be consent denied, blocking any audience remarketing capabilities in the EEA. If you are an app advertiser and use audience user lists in the European Economic Area, such as with app campaigns for engagement, you also need to meet certain milestones before March 2024 to preserve audiences and keep your campaigns running. These milestones will depend on the origin of your audience lists that can either be from Google Analytics or from your app attribution partner. When using Google Analytics for Audiences or Firebase Audiences, either through the Google Analytics Audience Builder or the Google Ads interface, you will need to update to the newest version of the Google Analytics for Firebase SDK and upgrade to Consent Mode version 2. Similar to web, you must pass back user consent in the form of two new parameters, add_user_data and add_personalization for audiences and conversions associated with your app campaigns running in the European Economic Area. By default, no consent mode values are set. You will need to set a default consent state for your app. It is also important to configure default consent settings to be region-specific, rather than global. Afterwards, to update consent values after an app is launched, call the Consent API. This is how it would look like, for example, on Android. Once you implement these two changes, the Google Analytics for Firebase SDK can capture consent to personalized advertising based on the user's choice. For more information on how to implement the consent mode for apps, please visit the developer guide. If you use third-party app attribution partner-based audiences, then you must update to the newest version of your partner SDK. Work with your partner to pass back the relevant consent parameters. These updates will be available in Q1 2024. For more information on how to send the relevant consent parameters for your audiences to Google Ads, please reach out to your app attribution partner. By taking these steps before March 2024, your web and app campaigns will be set up for success and meet the requirements of our European Union user consent policy.